I pulled into my driveway at 6:10 in the morning. The sky was still bleeding from night into dawn, and right there in my front pasture stood a giant sign that said, "For sale, HOA auction, Saturday, 9 a.m." Two strangers in reflective vests were taking pictures of my barn, my cattle, even my father's old windmill, like they were cataloging it for someone else's dream. And there she was, Karen Whitfield, president of the Maplewood Heights HOA, waving her phone like it was a badge. "Mr. Morrison," she said, her smile too calm, "you're trespassing on HOA property." That was the moment I realized something had gone terribly wrong. My father's ashes weren't even cold, and now they were trying to erase 3 generations of Morrison history. Before that morning, I didn't even know what an HOA could legally do. I just knew I wanted nothing to do with one. Our ranch, 47 acres, fenced by my grandfather in 1967, had never bowed to any neighborhood committee. We were the last patch of real dirt left beside a sea of manicured lawns and mailboxes painted the same shade of beige. But Maplewood Heights had been creeping closer for years, swallowing the countryside house by house until it pressed against my southern fence. When my father passed, I took him to Montana to bury him beneath the old cottonwood tree where he'd taught me to ride. I left my 16-year-old daughter, Emma, to take care of the cattle and keep an eye on the place. She's tough brown hair, like her mom's, stubborn like me. Before I left, I told her, "The land knows who it belongs to." Turns out that line didn't age well. 2 days into the trip, my phone rang. Emma's voice shook. "Dad, there are people in the field. They're measuring the barn. There's a sign that says, HOA auction." I remember standing there by my father's grave, the cold Montana wind cutting through my jacket, hearing a stranger's voice yelling HOA terms through my daughter's phone. Something in me snapped. I whispered an apology to my father and drove straight through the night. No music, no stops, just road and rage. By the time I hit this Colorado border, I'd pieced it together. Karen had always looked at my land like a realtor looks at commission. She ran a consulting firm on the side, and rumor was she'd been courting developers to expand Maplewood further west. My ranch was the only thing in her way. When I pulled in at dawn, my headlights hit the HOA van parked by my mailbox. Karen stepped out from behind my fence like she owned it. "Mr. Morrison," she said sweetly, "you're back earlier than expected." "Guess I ruined your open house," I told her. Her eyes narrowed. "You're trespassing. This ranch has been forfeited under HOA authority. $47,000 in unpaid fines." I laughed once. "You and I both know that's nonsense." She crossed her arms, and when that didn't scare me, she called 911, claimed there was an armed trespasser on HOA property. When Deputy Maria Santos arrived, she recognized me instantly. "Morning, Jake," she said. "What's going on here?" Karen rushed forward, waving her phone. "This man is on HOA property. We have legal documents." Maria flipped through the papers. Karen shoved at her. "Where's the county seal?" "The assessor's verification." Karen blinked. "It's under review." Maria shook her head. "Ma'am, this isn't enforceable. You can't annex private property without county approval. Pack it up." Karen's face went crimson. "You're making a mistake." "No," I said quietly, "you did." That should have been the end of it. But people like Karen don't back off, they reload. The next morning, she blasted an email to every homeowner calling me a hostile squatter on HOA-administered land. My neighbor Bill Foster, a retired surveyor, dropped a copy on my porch. "Heard about the circus yesterday," he said. "Karen's talking big, says she's got a court order." I poured him coffee. "Court order my ass." He grinned. "Funny thing, county clerk never saw one. Looks like she's faking paperwork now." By 9:30, Karen was back, black Lexus pearls, and 3 board members in tow. One man in khakis stepped forward with a folder. "Mr. Morrison, the association has determined your property falls within the 2021 revision. You've accumulated $47,000 in penalties." "Who signed that revision?" I asked. He turned the paper around. My name in perfect cursive. The problem I write in block letters. Always have. "That's cute," I said. "You practice that yourself." Karen's lips thinned. "Watch your tone. The HOA will proceed with its internal hearing regardless of your attitude." "Hearing?" I laughed. "You mean the kangaroo court in your clubhouse?" She smirked. "You'll get your chance to present evidence." "Don't worry," I said. "I'll bring plenty." That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that damn sign in my field. By morning, I was done hiding. I went to the so-called emergency meeting, fluorescent lights buzzing, folding chairs lined up like a courtroom built out of paranoia. Karen sat in the center, gavel ready. "This meeting will determine whether the Morrison property remains under HOA authority pending sale." I dropped my deed on the table. "It doesn't, and it won't." She listed my so-called violations: livestock nuisance, improper, fencing, non-conforming driveway materials. "You realize none of your rules apply to me, right?" I said. Gasps. Someone whispered, "He's right." That was Patricia Vance, one of the few decent people on the board. Karen ignored her. "The board has already voted 3-1 in favor of annexation." "For the record," Patricia said, "I voted no." "Noted," Karen snapped. I smiled. "Then congratulations. You just voted to commit fraud." I tapped the GoPro on my chest. "Smile, Karen. You're on camera." A week later, that footage hit YouTube. Emma had uploaded it titled, "HOA President Tries to Sell Active Ranch Owners Land. Gets Caught Live." By sunset, 200,000 views. By dawn, 500,000. Local news picked it up. For once, the internet was on my side. Karen tried to save face, posting that misinformation was spreading, but the more she spoke, the deeper she dug. Neighbors started emailing me with their own horror stories: bogus fines, threats over paint colors, late fees that never matched receipts. It wasn't just my fight anymore. That's when Sarah Chen came in. Sharp, calm, the kind of lawyer who could kill you politely with paperwork. She studied my documents, compared signatures, then looked up and said, "Jake, someone forged your name and the county seal. This isn't just a civil matter, it's criminal." We made it public: side-by-side comparisons, maps, county records bill, explaining boundary law on camera. The video exploded 1 million views in 2 days. Karen tried calling it a clerical error. Too late. Reporters were camping outside Maplewood's gates. And still she doubled down. She held a community cleanup event right in front of my fence, pretending to beautify shared land. Tommy, my neighbor, filmed it. "Miss Whitfield," he asked, "why are you hosting this on property that doesn't belong to the HOA?" She smiled, too tight. "We're maintaining community standards, even when it's not your community," he pressed. Her smile cracked. "This interview is over." That clip made national news. 2 days later, floodlights appeared outside my ranch again. HOA trucks unloading cones and banners. I stormed out, phone recording. "You planning a barbecue or just another crime scene?" I asked. Karen stood there in her red blazer, pretending she still had power. "You can film all you want, Jake. The auction proceeds tomorrow." I laughed. "Funny thing, the county clerk says otherwise." Her eyes flickered. "You're bluffing." That's when the blue and red lights rolled in. 2 sheriff's cruisers followed by a dark SUV. The man who stepped out wasn't local suit badge, calm voice. "Special Agent Rodriguez, FBI White Collar Division. Miss Whitfield, you're to cease all activity pending federal review. We've received reports of document forgery and attempted unlawful property seizure." Karen froze. "This is outrageous. We're an independent association." Rodriguez didn't blink. "You're an association under investigation." The agent started collecting folders. HOA workers dismantled tents. Cameras flashed. Tommy's drone caught it all. Karen arguing, agents bagging evidence, board members scattering like pigeons. And me, I just stood there, boots on my own soil, watching the woman who'd tried to steal my family's legacy lose everything in real time. I wish I could say I felt triumphant. Truth is, for a moment, I just felt tired. Months of anger and fear caught up all at once. I thought about my father, the promise I made to keep this land alive. I thought about the night I almost gave up when I told Emma maybe we should sell, maybe it wasn't worth the fight. She'd looked at me, tears in her eyes, and said, "Dad, this land is who we are. If you quit, she wins." That was the night I decided I'd rather go broke fighting than live easy and surrender. Now, standing there under the flashing lights, I realized we'd done it. Not just me, but Emma Bill, Sarah Maria, Everyone who refused to bow to a bully in pearls. By the next morning, the headline read, FBI launches investigation into HOA fraud. Karen's smiling newsletter photo was now beside a mugshot-style crop from Tommy's footage. She'd called the cops on me once, now the law was calling on her. They say power corrupts, but I think it just reveals. Give the wrong person a clipboard and they'll try to rule the world with it. When the agents loaded boxes into their cars and Karen's voice finally vanished into the noise of the engines, I looked down at the churned-up dirt where her auction sign had been. I knelt, ran a hand through the soil, and whispered the same words I'd told my daughter months before, "The land knows who it belongs to." And this time it answered back in silence, the good kind. Some people think revenge is about shouting louder. It's not. It's about being right longer,